rose 4.7% from June through to September last year. And that's from Knight Franks. So this isn't me making it up. This is from a global recognized market leader. Housing prices are resilient through the Philippines to the US, without a doubt, with global home prices picking up pace from the 4.1% annual growth recorded in the second quarter, according to the index. So if we look at what was happening pre-COVID and where we are today, we're actually, the market's increased throughout COVID and what was perceived as being a lockdown and no one spending money. So why did this happen? Well, the general consensus is that people became more liquid. There was a lot more liquidity in people's personal finance. I can speak for myself. My life has changed considerably in the last year or so. I would often go out 2 or 3 times a month for quite expensive lunches, fly to the UK regularly, fly to Manila regularly. Well, obviously I haven't done that this year because I've not been able to. So my financial situation has changed, and actually my life has changed, and I believe a lot of people's have, where we've toned down what we believed was the right thing to do in the past. I'm not saying we're going to be home buddies forever, but we've certainly started to understand that actually what we strived for isn't probably what we actually needed. And the fancy suit and the fancy car and the big house and so on and so forth, yes, it's nice to have, but actually, does it really make a difference? Probably not. So in that respect, that's how we've all become a little bit more liquid. So then we have to talk about Manila. When Manila led the report with home prices, and this amazes me. And we can talk about different house prices and different indexes and so on and so forth. And one of the speakers has got a slightly different figure than mine, which is lower, but still good. So Knight Franks were talking an astounding 34.9% increase in the third quarter alone compared to the prior year in Metro Manila. I just let that sink in. 34.9%. Unbelievable. So if we take the UK and we try and compare the UK. So I've deliberately taken out Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. Now, if anybody's on this call and is going to get upset by that, I did that for a reason, because the housing market in England is totally different from the other parts of the United Kingdom. So house prices, even they increased by an average of 2.8% last year as well. So even though people are talking down the economy and talking down certain investments, house prices have generally risen. But we have to be honest when we certainly talk about England, is a lot of this increase is driven by London and the southeast of England. If you go to other parts of the UK housing market, certainly if you look at the northern half of the country, generally it's been stagnant for quite a long while. Money's not being lost, but money's not being made. So it's great if it's your home and it's a place you live, but you're not going to make any money. So it's not a great investment. And then we look at the average house price across England, which is currently standing at £256,000. £256,000. I can't even put that into pesos. I think it's about 55 times that before you work it. So it's millions and millions and millions of pesos. So it's a huge, huge figure, massive, compared to the property prices in Metro Manila, which we're offering today. So all in all, I think investing in properties is still a wise thing to do. So, okay, we've looked at the global situation, we've looked at the UK, we've looked at the Philippines and what's going on. So talking to people who are now residing in the UK and other parts of the world, what makes the Philippines special? Because the Philippines is generally seen outside of the people who know as a bit of a sickly child, without wanting to offend anyone. And it's always seen as a bit of a third world country where the people are really nice and they smile a lot. And eat a lot of pork, drink a lot of beer, and generally have a good time and smile. Well, I can tell anyone on this call who's not been to the Philippines and not dealt with Philippine people and not dealt with Philippine investors, you couldn't be further away from the truth if you tried. Currently, the Philippines is ranked as the 7th best country in the world to invest in or do business for 2020. And that's according to the CEO magazine. And that was released in the 17th of May, 2020. Okay, then anyone can say that. We can all say that. CEOs say some amazing things. But there's data to back that up. It's not long to go now where in the Mall of Asia area, the biggest IKEA in the world will open. That's a massive foreign investment. Then we have something that people are not quite as well of is Dyson. And Dyson is a high-tech home hoovers and fans and stuff like that company. Very high-tech. They're opening up very shortly a centre that's going to be an innovative centre in Southeast Asia, in the Metro Manila area. And the reason they're moving there is there's a couple of major reasons. One, property prices are still relatively low. The workforce is well educated. We talked earlier this morning, for those who was on the call, about De La Salle, and there's other universities as well. They are churning out young people who are educated, that can live and stand up with anybody across the world. And thirdly, we add in the fact that your English is amazing. So you can converse with the rest of the world quite easily. So that makes Metro Manila a great place to invest in. Then we've got to add in the other big thing is the biggest trade deal in the world that's ever been signed. I'm part of the UK that's just left Europe, and we could debate if that was a good or a bad thing, and I'm not here to do that. But you've just signed a deal which dwarfs that. So now you've got the ASEAN nations, China, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand all in one big trade deal. So what does that mean? What does that mean to the Philippines as a nation? And I understand you have fears about China and it's the big bad wolf on the doorstep. I'm sorry, guys, you've got to embrace it. You've got to embrace that Chinese investment. I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm guessing it's well in the double figures of Chinese people who have invested in SMDC properties. And they're not buying one or two, they're buying 1 or 2 or 3 floors at a time. They're massive investors. They're massive investors in the Mall of Asia area. They're massive investors anywhere from Parañaque all the way past the airport, all the way into Mall of Asia, going past the equivalent of a Las Vegas in Asia, and so on and so forth. That is Chinese money. Sorry, you've got to stop being worried about China. Embrace it. Embrace Australia. Australia's a huge country looking to invest with its near neighbours, which it's not been able to do because it's looked like as an outsider. It's the white cousin in Southeast Asia. This is an amazing thing. And then we add in Japan. The whole world has looked up to Japan for years. It's been innovative, it's had stable government, and so on and so forth. You're now part of those big players, which is fantastic. But you go in not only as a member of the ASEAN organization, but you go in as one of the 7th best countries in the world to invest in. And that shouldn't be looked at lightly. So we generally have to look at COVID. You can't ignore it. It's not going to go away. It's been scary, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We have to believe. We have to believe that it's going to go away soon. We have to, because if we don't, we're just going to get more and more depressed. I'm very proud and privileged to be living in a country that the vaccine is being given out. It's over nearly 50% of the population now have had the first vaccine, and about 35% have had the second vaccine. I look at my homeland back in the UK, leading the way across Europe, and I think they're rated 3rd in the world. They're now talking about the spare vaccines they've got left over, giving them to less well-off countries. So there has to be a feeling that this is going to come to an end, and it's going to start coming to an end soon. And I'm not going to steal Dennis's thunder. I'm going to let him give the news later on about the decision that the Philippine government's made about travel coming up. So we always look at, I'm always looking at gross domestic products. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to the organisation that I work in, and how we work within the world. So I work with a lot of Filipino people, and I get frustrated at times how they constantly talk their country down. And funnily enough, it's very much a British trait as well. We'd be much better, we'd rather prefer moaning about something than praising something. Now, I'm not a great fan of our current Prime Minister, but I will pat him on the back and praise him for what they've done with the vaccination program. But not many people will. They'd rather moan about what happened last year. And Philippines is very much like that. You're very quick to say Duterte doesn't know what he's doing. We've had thousands of people put in quarantine and isolation, and we've shut down this and so on and so forth. But the figures show that the actions that were taken in the Philippines were just the same as anywhere else in the world. So the gross domestic product in the Philippines has dropped by minus 8.3% in the fourth quarter of 2020, which means you've dropped by 9.5% over the full year for 2020, which is a big number. There's no denying it. We can't ignore that it's not a big number. But then when you compare it with the UK, which is what we're talking about today, 11.3% in the UK. Japan, 7.2%, a country that we look up to. Canada, where I know thousands and thousands of Filipinos want to go and live, 38.7%. The GDP rate has fallen in Canada. And we in the Philippines are looking at 9.5%. You can come back from that very, very easy. That's achievable. That is a place, a point in time where we can come back. We can recover. The UK is buoyant. The Bank of England, the head of the Bank of England in the UK, who basically sets fiscal policy for the UK, he's really, really buoyant, and he's very pleased that it's only 11.3%. So we need to stop talking ourselves down and start talking ourselves up, and remember that it will go away and things will get better, and we will start spending money again, and it will happen. I promise you it's going to happen. I'm confident. I don't know when. I'm hoping it's this year. My gut feeling is second half of this year, third or fourth quarter, we will start to see some big improvements. So then when people say to me, it's not the right time to buy, it's scary, COVID, it's this, it's that, I'm just going to keep my money in the bank. I'm just going to point out to it now that leaving your money in the bank is the biggest waste of time ever. Nobody in the bank industry is giving you any money. So I did some research. Okay, remember the figures we're talking about when you invest in a property in the Philippines. We're talking 30% growth. The best you can get in the UK at the moment, and this is from moneysavingsexpert.com, the guy that's on the telly all the time telling you how to save your money and what to do with it and what not to do with it. The best you can get is 2.2% from Virgin. That's the best you can get. In the Philippines, you can get 3.1% if you keep a balance of 100,000 pesos in CIMB Bank. Not a bank I'm aware of. I know Banco de Oro and China Bank, obviously, because SMDC own them. So 3.1%, and you've got to keep 100,000 pesos in your account, or 2% basically in Virgin. The rest of them are giving you nothing. They're giving you no money whatsoever. So if you take inflation, and inflation doesn't go away, if inflation is above 3% in the Philippines or above 2% in the UK, your money is losing money year on year. It's actually worth less than when you put it in the bank. Invest it, do something with it. There's no point leaving it in a bank. Have a float, by all means, keep some money, but find a way of making your money work for you. And then the thing that I've always been spoken to and had it drummed into me all my life by my wonderful parents, you've got to have a pension, son. Pension, 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 pension. Oh, I wish that was true. So this is a true story, and this happened to me. So in 2013, I packed my bags and left for the UAE once again, and I brought with me a pension pot of £102,000. Not an insignificant amount of money. It was in a pension scheme back in the UK that was working well, but because of tax laws, I had to move it. So I moved it to an offshore scheme called a CUROPS. And I was told by the investors, this is a great thing. You're going to make loads of money. You're going to make 7-8% easy with low risk. I cashed that pension in this year, and it's actually worth £8,000 less than what I put in it in 2013. The only people who earned any money out of that pension, unfortunately, was the people who managed it for me. I'm not bitter, I'm not twisted, it is what it is. I've lived with it, I've taken it out, and I'm now investing in Philippine property. I am doing what I'm telling you to do. I'm talking the talk, I'm actually doing it. I would love to think the pensions is the way forward, and I hope one day it will be. And I hope those people who've got money in pensions, it works out. But for me, it just didn't work out. It was stagnating. And I wasn't even paying any tax. That was a tax-free efficient scheme. So the next question I often get asked, particularly from Filipinos, oh, Manila, so expensive. Can't afford to live in Manila. Well, in reality, there's not a capital city in the world that isn't expensive, if you compare it with other parts of the world or other parts of that country. So the capital will always be expensive. It has infrastructure, it has airports and so on and so forth. So something we've been talking about for ages, and I'm sure we'll touch it again, is the new development called Gold, where someone who could throw a ball a long way could probably throw a ball from the front of Gold into the front of the airport. It's that close. So currently, it's about £120,000 for a one-bedroom apartment in Gold, approximately. So I did some research. I thought, okay, then let's look at what a one-bedroom place will buy you in Heathrow Airport, which is London Airport. So the current average price for a one-bedroom apartment in that area is £225,000. Not quite double, but near enough. But there's a massive difference. There is a massive difference. We have to be honest. The property in Manila will be smaller. But the property in Manila, what SMDC will give you is it will have a gym. It will have a very nice swimming pool. It will have nice manicured gardens. It will have an organisation that's going to look after the maintenance. It will have a foyer that is like a 5-star hotel. There's free space. It's a nice place to live and it's secure. The one-bedroom place you're going to buy in Heathrow will probably be a 4-bedroom house converted into apartments. You may get a parking space if you're lucky. You're certainly not going to get anyone maintain it. You're definitely going to get a swimming pool. And remember, 6 months of the year, you probably couldn't even get in the swimming pool. So you're not quite comparing eggs with eggs. But if you balance the size off against the amenities, I think you're not far off. So you're looking at twice the price. So then Manila starts to become affordable. And then if you add in the growth factors with Manila as well, and the future growth, then I still think it's pretty much a bargain, to be honest. So here's my personal story and my first investment. My first investment of 5. Yes, you heard right. I now have 5 investments in the Philippines. One of them's the family home, so I'll put that to one side. But this is true, and these are actual my figures. So back in 2016, me and Dee bought a place in Tagaytay. Excuse my Tagalog pronouncing that. one bedroom, smallish apartment for 2.8 million pesos. Sorry, I didn't convert this into sterling, but 2.8 million pesos. The current value at this present time, there's only a few for sale, but the cheapest one we could find is 3.3 million peso. That's a 40% increase in 4 years. There's one for sale for 4.8 million peso. That's a whopping 70% increase in 4 years. At this present time, the last time we looked, there was only 4 properties for sale. So people aren't selling them. So when they do come up for sale, people are snapping them up. We have made 70% on our investment in 4 years. And you want to leave your money in the bank and get 3.1% in the Philippines and 2.02% in the UK. I think you're crazy. I genuinely do. So I could go on all day talking about this increase and that increase and why I've done it and the reasons why I've done it. But I genuinely do believe that I think the Philippines, I think Manila in itself is certainly a hidden giant. It's beginning to get known. People are beginning to look at it. IKEA have certainly looked at it. Dyson have looked at it. The airport extension that's going to happen in the next few years will probably make Manila Airport a hub. Once it becomes a hub, then things change considerably. You're then competing with the likes of Dubai and Heathrow or London as cities. If you become a hub city, it makes a massive difference. I won't go on about the investment because that comes later and someone else is going to present that. But generally, if you are considering in any investment, and I'm not going to tell you you have to invest in property. I'm not going to tell you you have to invest in Philippines property, because there's many places you can put your money. But from my experience and from what I know and my research and what's happened to me and my personal story from 2013 to now is it's an absolute no-brainer. And if you're thinking about it and you want to discuss it, drop me a personal line message on here. I'll give you my email address or whatever, or WhatsApp number, and we can chat. I genuinely believe this is a great opportunity to make money. And the longer you leave it, the harder it's going to get to make the investment, because property prices are only going to increase. So thanks very much for listening. I hope you understood everything I said. If I've gave any of my Philippine friends a nosebleed, I do apologize.
We just love it. We just
love it, don't we, Dennis? So I'm going to hand you back to Dennis now. Thank you everyone for listening. Have a great day. Please stay on the line, because the next speaker, his stuff is amazing and fascinating. So thanks very much.
All right, can we just give Sir Richard Anderton again another warm applause and a wave? Let's wave. And our boss, the vice president for sales, is saying thank you so much. Oh, there you go. I'm gonna ask my wife to also do the same. Freya, can you come over from the other room? Such a wonderful couple. Thank you. Okay, I'm not gonna waste this time, but instead, RJ, let's do something different this time. Okay, we're gonna open the floor right from the get-go and ask everyone. Okay, Sir Richard, you're one of our few guests here who hails from UK, who's now residing in Abu Dhabi. There may be some investors around here, or IMPs, brokers, partners of ours who are quite interested in your story. And if I may just add, for the Tagaytay properties, remember January 2020? How did 2020 greet us?
Volcano.
We were greeted by a volcano. And the fascinating thing about that volcano, it should have sent some jitters to our investors, especially those who bought. And I was thinking, perhaps it's time for me to buy. Tagaytay properties, either wind or cool. None of them sold their properties. They were holding to it as if they know exactly when the volcano is going to stop spewing smoke. It's as if it was the most solid investment these people have ever bought in their entire lives. Nobody budged. And up until now, even if there's a sign of smoke, people are still holding on to their investment. Another thing, according to David Lichu, during the height of the lockdown in the Philippines, there was a 15 to 25% increase in the properties in that area because majority of the rich folks in Metro Manila do not want to be locked down in Metro Manila. So these are the ultra rich. And so what they did was started buying farm lots, and resorts all the way up to Cavite, Batangas, all the way up down south of Metro Manila. So congratulations on your investment, bro. It's pretty solid, pretty solid. So I'm gonna open the floor for questions.
Just before we get the questions, I actually forgot to mention a couple of things. One of the other advantages is, particularly if you're thinking of buying a second property, and you're wondering where to buy a second property, you don't have the tax laws that you have in the UK, because you get additional tax if you own a second property. Also, if you're buying a property in the Philippines as a non-Filipino citizen like myself, you're allowed to buy 40% of the properties within each tower. And it's very, very easy. You don't have the conveyancing fees that you have in the UK. You do have VAT, but it's not as expensive as the charges, the stamp duty that you get back in the UK. So it's a very, very easy process to do. It's a lot easier buying a property in the Philippines than it is in the UK, and it's a lot cheaper as well. There are fees. I mean, that goes without saying. But if you're looking for an investment property outside of your home, it is worth looking at the difference in charges and the difference in tax liabilities, and the money that you would earn if you rented it as well. It's not taxable in the UK. If you leave the money in the Philippines and then draw it back through an overseas account, it's not taxable. It's not taxable income.
I see. So more reasons to invest actually in the Philippines. All right. So do we have any questions from the floor right now? Even from the SMDC? Please ask away. We would love to, we'd love to entertain your questions, especially for our first speaker. You can chat here in the chat box, or otherwise, if you are too afraid or too conscious, you can pass the message to your ASD or to your IPS.
I just want to ask, when is he getting his 6th unit?
Okay, next question. Okay. Ladies, wives, okay. That look, right? He has to check. He has to check again, okay? So, because now me and RJ were on our 6th unit, and it's time to flip, Mrs. Evangelista. It's time to flip one of our units now. Okay, please don't make me buy the 7th unit. But we're just happy here, we're just happy because we know, like I mentioned this morning, when you invest in properties, it's treated as forced savings. Forced savings, but not in a bad way when you save. I like the illustration, Richard. You said that the pension is earning you what 2%, something like that?
The bank is 2% in the UK, 3.1 in the Philippines, and pension earn me nothing. stagnated.
That's right. That's right. So just when you thought your money is safe and earning money, and then when you look at it again, my goodness, that's why we're asking you guys, come on, take a closer look at what we're proposing to you. All right. Would there be any questions on the floor? Otherwise, I am gonna be calling on our next speaker. Going once, twice. Okay, that means loud and clear, Sir Richard. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Perhaps later we will come up with something. Okay. The next speaker, I mentioned ago that he's into boxing, but when Richard mentioned riding the waves, I forgot that he is also a certified surfer, and he is a certified surfer in Siargao. He goes there frequently, especially during the time when it was still okay to go and travel. And he misses the place. Obviously, Robert Abuan would like to follow suit. He has already bought his surfboard. And yeah, so very interesting hobbies for DCE and SMDC. Boxing and surfing, my goodness, I don't know how you can do both equally well at the same time. And this guy has been with SMDC for over 10 years. So, and I believe 3 years with a different developer. So that makes him one of the, yes, considered veteran in our team. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's give it up to the next in line. The next in line, we're grooming this guy to be a sales director. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Rene RJ Hamlang. Woo-hoo-hoo!
Thank you, sir, for that very generous introduction. And while I get my slides here, guys, give it up for Sir Dennis. He's not only the host, the speaker, our sales director, but he's also the poster boy himself on the webinar that you see week on week on week, even twice a day. Well, help me out here. I'm going to go get my slide.
Please don't puke when you see my photos, okay? And people were asking, okay, why is he on the photo and he's not really doing all the major speaking? Well, I don't know. Next time, we'll put Richard's photo. No, I'm just kidding. RJ's photo. RJ's photo. All right, RJ, take it away.
Okay, Sir Dennis, really quickly, how much time do I have so I know my pace here and how fast am I going to go?
Okay, the time now is 6:41. I guess 15 minutes will do.
All right, we're going to go speed on. Let's go. Guys, let's start off by asking ourselves, how was 2020 sales of SMDC? Because some of you out there may be wondering, it's a pandemic. Why are you guys acting as if there is none going on? Well, 2020 sales was pretty good for SMDC, and just how well? Well, for, I had to convert this, British pounds sterling, right? 2.47 billion pounds was sold for the entire year. So we can understand this better. That's about 33,600 condominiums sold in the whole year, approximately. We're looking at around 2,800 a month, or close to around 100 condominiums per day, despite the lockdown, despite the quarantine, despite all the restrictions set about by this virus pandemic. Now, looking into 2021, where the gates are a little bit more open, we're expecting much more. Just to share with you guys, my brother is in Siargao right now. He flew there and only did a saliva testing. And just in like one day, he was free to roam about and enjoy the paradise of the island life. My other friend, who's a Dr. Hero, just spent his birthday in Boracay, hanging out over there at the beach, and only a swab test or a saliva test as well. My Tagaytay condominium, just like Sir Richard a while ago, I also invested one there, and it's booming again on Airbnb. So I am the grass is looking green, guys, and I'm excited to show you how we're starting off for this 2021. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. So let's talk about the top 5 performing condos. Why top 5? Because guys, there's 50 condominiums of SMDC, and we're gonna spend the entire day if we have to talk about every single one of them. So let's just narrow it down to the top 5. And these are Gold, Mint, Sale, Shore 3, and South 2 residences. To give you an idea where these are 3 of them are from the Bay Area, 1 of them are from Makati, and the other one is from the down south in Las Piñas. So we're gonna go for the majority of it and focus on the Bay Area. That's where Mall of Asia is, the Bay City or Entertainment City, Las Vegas of Asia. Okay, so I'm gonna flash to you guys this slide because this is like important information. It's not opinion, it's fact. It was conducted by a specialist in the industry. And these are important figures for us to use as a benchmark to know where we came from, where we're at right now, and where we're headed in the future. So here, I'd just like to summarize and say that when they analyzed the condominiums within the Bay Area, not just SMDC, but all the developments there, condominium wise, they learned that Shore 3 and Sale residences, both from SMDC, sell the most, going up to 36 condominiums per tower, not even per project, yeah, per tower. And if you can see here, well, you may not be able to see it on your screen because the text may be a little small, but the first, second, third, and fourth leaders of this chart, all SMDC projects. Now, to recap where Shore 3 is, if you take a look at my location map here, this is Mall of Asia at the end of the main road of EDSA. And you will see on the map here, this circle, that's basically your indicator to know where Mall of Asia is. That's the road, the circular road where this beautiful globe is. Yes, it's a very iconic when you go there. Okay, so Shore 3 is basically a stone's throw away. Less than 10-minute walk to Mall of Asia and to the offices. There's a central business district in Mall of Asia area. That's where our office is at. Yes, it's becoming a CBD. So it's just minutes away. Guys, this is the epicenter, centro po yan in Filipino. And you are right smack at the heart of where the action is. This is Shore 3. And just to give you guys some updates, it is constructing as scheduled. And for those who have already invested there all the way in the UK, well, I got good news for you. This is as of January 2021. It wasn't just stories. They're actually building this thing. Okay, let's move on. We got like maybe 12 minutes going on here. So let's talk about Bay Area again, but let's go out a little bit into Rojas Boulevard, which is a 5-minute drive away from the epicenter. How are we doing there? Based on this research, they compared SMDC condominiums with non-SMDC, other developments. And you know what they found out? They found out that all of them are doing well. In fact, the other developments, to start off with that, are appreciating in value to as much as 13% per year. It's growing by 13% per year. However, SMDC projects have been growing for 25% per year, 13, 25, almost double the amount. And as I tell you a little bit more about my presentation slides, you're gonna learn why that is so. So here's another condominium project along Rojas Boulevard, since we mentioned it. Coast Residences is almost at the corner of Rojas Boulevard and Buendia. It is basically a 5-minute drive to Mall of Asia. And this is what it looks like. Bam, hotel-like quality. It won an award for the best interior design condominium among condominiums in the Philippines. And as I show you some more slides, there, it's very classy, right? It's under the SMDC Prime marketing brand. Okay, so now let's talk about this. Updates, right? I'll update all you Filipinos and all the British people there who haven't gotten to know this news yet. There's gonna be a new train railway. It's going to be a subway that's stretching all the way down, all the way to the north in Quezon City. It's going to go to Ortigas, BGC. And what I want to highlight here is it's going to go to Naiya, which is the airport, guys. There's going to be a train station right at the airport. Next, the LRT train line, okay, is going to be extended the same from Baclaran to Ninoy Aquino Station, the airport. Both of them having stops at the airport. Why is that important? Because boom, when you're at the airport in the Philippines, you will now be treated to a nice quality resort style of an airport, putting it in the same caliber as Singapore, Stanley, the Dubai airport, and all the international goodness, okay? And what's beside this airport? When you arrive at the Philippines, you will be welcomed with a nice classy airport. When you go outside, wait for your family members to come pick you up. If you look over to the right side, you'll see a blue fenced property with a huge SMDC sign. Yes, that's us, the good guys. And that's Gold Residences, as mentioned by Sir Richard a while ago. It's that close to the airport. And you know what else it's close to? If you look at this map and you see this yellow box, that's Gold Residences. Over here to the right side, you'll see a Skyway entrance ramp. That's about a minute away from Gold. And that Skyway, if you take it on your car, in your car, it will bring you to the entertainment city, the new Las Vegas of Asia, and where Mall of Asia is going to be also 9 minutes away. So this is part of the Bay Area projects, and no wonder why, guys. This is the top one best performing project of all 50 SMDC condominiums. Number one. And this is the development that I believe Sir Richard, and among many of our investors, is a proud unit owner of. Let's see how nice it is. Look at my.
RJ, if I may just stop you right there. We are actually blessed because of one of the brokers who hails from South Korea is joining us. I'm not gonna ask him to open his mic, but Ron is actually here. Let's just give a big wave to Ron Kyle. He actually personally sold 18 units of gold and one lush, if I'm not mistaken, according to his ASD. That's Rafi P. Juan. So this is the test that they did, RJ. What they did was they clocked it. Okay, they rode their vehicles from Gold City all the way up to Entertainment City during the peak of rush hour, which is around 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Okay, and when they clocked it, it registered something like 6 minutes. Okay, during the height of the traffic, by using the NAIAX, the NAIA International Expressway that connects Gold City to Entertainment City. So that's how close it is. In fact, trivia number 2, in one of our meetings with the owner himself, Mr. Henry C. Jr., he mentioned that he considers Gold as part of the MOA Commercial Business District. And when we talk about MOA, when we talk about Entertainment City, he says in his book, when they account for the sales of gold, it is counted as part of the MOA CBD count. So that's how our big boss would consider Gold Residences. So congratulations to all those who invested in phase 1 and in phase 2. Sir Rene, Sir RJ, sorry, I'm so sorry, Sir RJ, because I keep on looking at your name in your Zoom. Sir RJ, is it true that the 18th floor is gonna be opening soon? Because I've been hearing news. You know what? You know anything about that? Because that's really good news. If not, I'll be more than willing to discuss that in a little while. If they're gonna stay longer, because in your SAP, in your SAP, if you're from SMDC, you will only see 17th floor in Gold Residences. Okay, let me tickle your interest. If you stay longer, okay, I'll tell you the answer to my question. So let's continue.
Hey, welcome, Ron Kyle, legendary. Yo, when you say Gold Residences, if you want to know tips on how to sell that, you better ask that guy. Welcome, Ron. Welcome. And going on further in my PowerPoint slides here. Okay, so real estate as an investment. Let's talk more about that. Because if you're talking about investment to make money about it, then you got to know the answer to the question, do the numbers make sense? Let's talk about numbers. Now, let's compare real estate investment in this area versus, say, if you invested in treasury bonds, stocks, or corporate bonds or money market vehicles. Back in 2016, these were the prices in Philippine peso versus 2020. All right. For the real estate part is represented by the blue line in the chart. And all the other lines are the other investment vehicles. And even for Breeze Residences, which is basically the representative of, they took Breeze because this one's ready for occupancy already along Rojas Boulevard, basically beside Coast. From 2013 all the way to 2020, it has appreciated by that much. If you're a stocks guy, I'm a stocks guy. If you like to trade and charts make sense to you, it's going up, and not just up, but super up. And now I understand it correlates. It's the same as what the testimony of Sir Richard said, that, you know what, I don't know about some people's figures, but in his personal observation, in his properties, some of them are actually appreciating higher than what they say in the books. So here, if you're an investor and you're optimistic, you can go ahead and project to a more aggressive number, or you can be more conservative. Either way is good. Okay, so return on an investment. What is this? I'll teach you guys a little bit something, if you haven't already known, about this one simple formula that's going to put the numbers that's going to make sense. So it makes sense. Okay, this is a percentage yield of the investment over a period of time, usually 1 year. We just basically want to know how well will I get my money back? How much will I cash out? And how much will I get back in a year in terms of percentage, so that we can compare all investment options, apples to apples, on the same plane. So here we go. ROI is computed as income over capital times 100. Again, that's your cash in divided by your cash out times 100. Try to understand that as we go through the different scenarios in how we can make money in real estate. Okay, so simply, scenario number one is what a lot of people know about. It's called flipping. You buy it while the price is low and you sell it when the price is high, after it's turned over. So I was able to convert it to British pounds. Okay, the client purchased a condominium for 70,000 British pounds. After 5 years, he sold it for 120,000. What is his return on investment? Answer: capital is 70,000. The income is basically the difference between the sell and buy price, 50,000, and you got yourself your ROI. You just plug and play. Income divided by capital, 50,000 divided by 70,000 times 100. You're looking at 71% in 5 years. Okay. Of course, this not take. If you really want to be more accurate, you want to subtract to your income all the closing fees, taxes, and stuff like that, which is kind of not so significant in this case. Okay, so for simplicity's sake of how to compute this, that's how you do it. Now let's talk about buying now and asking yourself, well, how much can I sell it in the future? That's a legit question, right? You buy now when you're thinking to yourself, well, okay, you say it's gonna go up, but how much really can I sell it in the future? So here in this scenario, the client plans to buy a condo in the Philippines for 70,000 pounds. According to Colliers International, an expert in real estate industries, not just in the Philippines, but in the entire world, even in the UK, I'm sure, properties in the Philippines generally appreciate by 8%. In this case, at what price can the client sell the condo after 7 years? This is the answer. Cash out is 70,000 pounds. What's your income? It's basically projected as your purchase price, 70,000 times 8% for 1 year. And then you multiply that by 7 to project 7 years, you get 39,200 pounds. Then your capital plus your sell price will be 109,000 pounds. There. So here, this is a slide from Colliers International. And here you can see for yourself that they said, not me, they said, these experts said that Philippine apartment prices have risen by an average of 8% per year since 2007. That's like 13 years, am I right? Around 12, 13 years of data that averages out to around 8%. So why do we need to know this figure? Guys, I don't care if it's SMDC you're looking to invest in or another developer. 8% should be your benchmark to say if your investment is good or bad. So logically, if it's performing better than 8%, then it's a good investment. If it's performing lower than 8%, then not so well. So that's why it's important to learn how to compute for ROI, because you want to know, you want to be able to benchmark it with this figure. So let's compare. We talked about Bay Area. Now let's talk about Bay Area. How much is the capital appreciation in Bay Area? Again, I'll flash the slide and I'll do a little red circle here to highlight that text that says SMDC, 25% in Rojas Boulevards. This Rojas Boulevard, guys, is 5 minutes away from the epicenter. It's not even this epicenter. That's why some figures, I wouldn't be surprised if they say that Mall of Asia have been appreciating by around 35%. Not surprised. Okay, this is Rojas. Let's just keep it conservative. 25%. Let's compare it again to the Philippine standard. 8%. You're comparing 8, normal, versus 25, not normal. This is extraordinary. This is Bay City, the future of Manila. Scenario number 3. You buy now and then you sell before turnover. A little tricky. You can sell condominiums before they turn over. What does turnover mean? Before they hand over the keys. Before the construction even finishes, you can sell it already. Yeah, they do that. Okay, so here, the client bought a condo for 70,000 pounds during the pre-selling stage. Okay, for this particular payment term, which is pretty common in SMDC, where you have a down payment of 15%, but it's spread in 50 months. You don't have to pay for it one time. Okay, and the unit will be ready for turnover once fully paid if he decides to sell the condo for 110 at the 48th month, right before he pays, or right before he has to get a bank loan for the 85%. Basically, he's not going to pay for the 85%. Gets? How much return on investment is he expected to make? Okay, answer. Capital is basically 10,500. Is basically how much you shelled out, cash out, which is only 15%. Okay, so that's 10,000 pounds only. And your income is computed as 110, which is sell price minus the buy price of 70, obviously 40,000. Now that you have those two crucial components, you can now compute for return on investment, going at 380% in 4 years, almost 4 times the money. Now, I'd like to note, remember, the cash out that you did is not the entire price of the condominium. For this strategy, your cash out or your capital is only 10,500. 10,500, only 15%. So that is why you get massive return on investment for this strategy. And I'm giving this as an option. There's 4 scenarios here. If this makes sense to you, if it feels right, then you go ahead, you can try this. Okay, last.
RJ, no wonder our Chinese investors, despite the fact that they have cash on hand, would prefer to use this as to leverage and to increase their earning capacity even more.
Yes, that's correct. Because the trick about return on investment is you can increase it by getting a product or an investment vehicle that actually appreciates fast, or you can just lower the amount of capital. When you lower the amount of cash out, your return on investment gets higher in value. So that's the secret with SMDC. Their payment terms is uniquely low. It allows you to buy or reserve a condominium with very minimal cash out, at least for the very front load of the entire term.
Rene, can I just step in a minute?
Yes.
For all those people listening in the UK who've got relatives, particularly youngsters who are struggling to get on the housing market, because at the moment, from what I know, you need about a 20% deposit before you can get a mortgage to buy a property, and you don't have these facilities to buy pre-construction. So for those who are trying to save 20% of the property value in the UK, and we know it's average 256,000, this is a great way to invest. If you're investing £10,000 over 3.5 to 4 years, and you get a return on profit of 30,000, that's your 20% there. There's your 20% down payment to buy a property back in the UK where you're residing. So it's another way to think about how can I ever save 20% to get myself on the property ladder back in the UK, which is a big problem for youngsters particularly.
That's true. That's true. And you know what, guys, for certain projects of SMDC, the minimum down payment goes as low as 12%. even for gold, I think 12% is the minimum. So it gives a lot of opportunities to make money. Okay, the last one is the common one where you buy a property and then you have it rented out, whether it be long-term or short-term. This one is long-term. So you have a 1-year contract. Say a client bought a condo for 70,000 again and decides to lease it out for 600 pounds per month. How much is the return on investment? Rental income yield. Answer, 70,000 capital, income is 600 times 12, so you can get it at 1 year. Remember, we're always comparing with years, per year. Return on investment is now, when you plug and play, is at 10%. So for example, you're kind of shopping, window shopping for a condominium to invest at, and say you come across developer X, doesn't have to be SMDC. And after you do the return on investment computation, you come up with 10% on rental income. Then you ask yourself, hey, is this good or bad? Well, you can compare it with the condominium rental yield in the UK. So that's one way of looking at it. And you can also compare it with the other developers in the Philippines. Or simply put, why don't you just compare it with the standard? What's the standard rate in the Philippines? Well, it's 6%. According to who, RJ? Your uncle? Manny Pacquiao? It's according to Colliers International. Again, these guys, that's what they do. That's what they do for a living. They're a company that specializes in research studies, not just in the Philippines, but all over the world. They said that in the Philippines, the rental yield is at 6% on the average. It's doing better than a lot of the Asian countries, as you see in my slide here.
Right.
That's just the norm. Now you compare that with Mall of Asia, with the example here, 10%. Then logic says, okay, this is a good investment because it's performing better than the normal of 6%. You get it? Okay, so now let's compare it with our subject of today, Bay Area. 6% normal. Let's compare it with Mall of Asia. Boom. So this slide says, this talks about C residences, the first Bay Area condominium of SMDC that launched sometime 2008. So we're looking at data that stretches all the way 2008 until 2020. And they tracked the price every year for your convenience, so you don't have to do your research. And the summary is a whopping 24.8% yield. That's how much you can make out of rental income. You compare that again with the Philippines norm of 6%. Guys, this is 4 times better than the normal of Philippine standard. So no wonder the Bay Area is booming. No wonder the top 5 condominiums being sold in the Philippines for January, 3 of them have Bay Area condominiums. And okay, so basically I said that. Now I'd like to summarize my presentation in valuation of British pounds. Okay, we believe the location is prime, the condominiums are great, the potential for income is also there. Now let's talk figures. How much is it gonna cost me? Okay, so in British pounds, I summarized the 3 projects, Shore 3 across Manila, Coast Residences along Ross Boulevard, and Gold Residences right across the airport, 9 minutes away from Entertainment City. So these are your prices, total price versus the promo price. This promo price is special for Filipino citizens. So if you're a UK citizen, but you're dual, like you have UK citizen also, you're a Filipino citizen and UK citizen, then you can avail this, okay? Here, I'd like to highlight, it's only 540 pounds a month to sum it up. If that's within your cash flow, you can afford that, then you're in the radar. You can be a qualified investor. And also for us sellers, the reason why I have 5 condominiums and these other sellers also do is Sir Dennis also on 6 condominiums, because we use our commission to serve as a discount.
That's correct.
As further discount in these condominiums. So here you look, gold is only 300 pounds a month. I mean, come on. How many?
Renee?
Yes.
Renee, I actually, sorry, I don't want to dispute your figures. I think you're wrong. So we pay 1,150 dirhams a month for gold, which equates to £220. It's even cheaper.
Even
Wow.
So I'm just going to step in again. So going back to the people listening in the UK, okay, for 4 years of paying £220 a month, you could possibly recoup a profit on that of £30,000. There, for
Amazing.
220. So that's less than the mortgage payments that you will have once you finally get your mortgage. So to me, it just seems to make sense that if you're trying to save 20% in the UK, there's a way of doing it in the Philippines. Flip out after 4 years, take the money, invest in your UK home.
Yep.
Wow. Sounds like a plan. And I'm having goosebumps when Sir Richard mentioned that it's just how many British pounds? 200?
Well, I've just calculated. We're paying 1,150 dirhams a month for gold.
Right.
On the current exchange rate, that's £221.
Amazing.
So
I
I mean,
love
even if the exchange rate with the peso is slightly different, it's not going to be much more than 250.
Correct. So it's that affordable, guys. Now, whichever one fits your cash flow is the one I suggest. Because if it's not gonna fit your cash flow, then I do not suggest that you force yourself to invest. But I'm saying, look, if you can afford it, especially if the epicenter, Shore 3, if you can afford it, then why not give yourself the best? You can afford it. It's within your cash flow. Go for it, right? So let's look at the income here. Monthly income, if you were to lease it out on a long-term basis, we're looking at about £800 for the epicenter. £800 is how much per month that you can earn. And the projected value of your property will be as high as £270,000 in 10 years.
Wow.
For gold, if Sir Richard holds on to it for the next 10 years, this is based on 25% capital appreciation, like we learned in this for today in Bay Area. It can be as high as £300,000. So if you sell it, then you'll be able to earn the gross profit of the figures listed below. I also did this in US dollars for the people tuned in New York or other countries. This is US dollars. This is what it looks like. Again, I highlighted the box yellow if it's something to note, like Coast with its 5% discount, you get 131,000 US dollars. The monthly amortization can be as low as 500 US dollars for Mall of Asia. And rental income potential goes as far as $1,100 per month. Okay, now if you're talking about daily rentals like a hotel, you can do so. We are doing it currently, so we're actually suggesting what we're doing already. The good benchmark for that is double this amount. So if this is 1,100 US dollars a month, you can look at possibly 2,200 US dollars a month. That's with the help of Airbnb. Okay, so guys, it's just you and us. We're hanging out here. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask. This is your opportunity while you guys have us on here. And that pretty much ends my presentation, Sir Dennis.
Wow, amazing. This is indeed a powerhouse team presenting to you live from the Philippines and from Abu Dhabi. Can we just give a big wave again to Sir Richard and Sir RJ Hamlang for a very informative, convincing presentation. But we all know this, knowledge is not actually power. Why is that so? Unless you apply the knowledge, that becomes wisdom, and wisdom gives you power. And so what do I mean by this? You have been given the information, all the data. I mean, we have been as forthright and as honest and as candid as we can be. But at the end of the day, you make the decisions for yourself. And as you can see, we have an eclectic mix. Yeah, not just in terms of age and background and nationality, but also in terms of how we view money and investment. Okay, the first question I'd like to ask myself, But if you want to answer, RJ, is there a cost for waiting on such a good offer as this? Is there a cost? Because people would say, you know what, it's pandemic, and they keep on harping on the pandemic as if the pandemic is gonna determine their livelihood and it's gonna make them rich. And so they use this as a crutch for indecision. Now, my take is this: whether you pursue your investment or you pursue joining us as one of our brokers or partners, you already made a decision. Being indecisive is already a decision. And when you do that, if you're sitting on a fence, it's going to cost you, because if you invest now, if you start early, you're still at the right timing. Now, RJ was not able to talk about what's going to happen with the 715 hectares that we just got a green signal from the government. We're going to be reclaiming 715 hectares, the size of which is the magnitude of construction is similar to what you see in Palm Jumeirah in Dubai. Okay, and this gives me always the goosebumps. All the profit that you are going to collectively gain from all your shore and gold and breeze and coast, all these investments, where do you put it next after 5, 10 years? I have a proposition. You are now positioned to buy a villa or a townhouse or another condo unit in that 715 hectares that we are going to start reclaiming. Mr. Evangelista, when is the reclamation going to start? It's supposed to start last year, but because of the lockdown and all that, it was pushed a little bit further. But what we're saying is that government of Parañaque, okay, and Pasay has already given us a go signal, and this is in partnership with of course the national government. Okay, and we are designated as the official developer to reclaim that 715 hectares. And I don't know if you still have the video on, because that's going to be our final video, if you have it with you via the YouTube, Sir RJ. So is the prices that we're talking about, is it still going to go up? Well, we have not yet reached maturation or peak. Uh, when is that going to happen? Okay, I'll give you a classic example. Bonifacio Global City. They're running up. They don't have spaces anymore. They're not selling land, and because of that, most of the growth potential have already reached its peak. MOA, Rojas Boulevard, and the Gold City that we're talking about, it is Gold City in that area is the first major development, mind you. And there is going to be phase 3. How do we sell current projects? The moment we sell and tell them, hey, there's going to be phase 3, phase 4, and all that. That's the quickest way for you to earn a buck. When you know inside information like we do. Like I mentioned, we are going to sell end of February or first week of March, the 18th floor of Gold Phase 2. Please mark your calendar. It's going to happen either this week or first week of March. This is going to create so much frenzy. I love it that Ron is with us. This guy sold 18 units of gold residences like there's no tomorrow. Hey, you guys, your investors have already earned so much, especially that we're going to be opening all the 18 floors for the 5 towers of phase 2. Take note of that. The 5 towers, all the 18th floor are going to be opening up in your SAP. So is this helping anybody? Come on, wave if you're still alive, if you are still come on, yeah. So I'm so psyched up. Now, we are not just your regular Joes who would tell you to do something that we haven't done ourselves. We have been proven credible. Why? Because RJ bought 6 units. I bought 6 units already. Anderton has 5 units of investment in the Philippines. And come on, why would we convince you to do the things that we have done? Well, simply because in the best investment on earth is earth itself. I always tell you that because the last time I checked, God stopped making earth. Okay, and we're the only ones reclaiming, by the way. RJ, is it ready? Can
Yep.
we show that?
Ready to play.
Come on. And then we're gonna be ending with this high note.
The Philippines, Pearl of the Orient and Asia's rising tiger, poised for a new beginning. A unique partnership of city governments, national authorities, and the private sector. A vision of 726 hectares of reclaimed land to rise along 9.2 kilometers of Manila Bay shoreline as a modern master plan development, creating a premier Asian destination in the Philippines. A collaboration of the people, government, and the enterprise. In response to a fast-growing city and a rapidly modernizing economy. Designed by local and international planners and engineers, it will provide a new home for 576,000 residents, 924,000.
RJ, can you freeze the screen? Can you freeze the screen? Okay. I'll show you. Okay. Does anybody know where Gold Residences is? Okay.
Yes.
Do you see the plane? You see that plane? That's gold. Okay, I'm echoing. So it's so near the Mall of Asia complex that I can almost pinpoint to you and say, hey, it's right over there. Okay, so the plane that you are looking at right now, that icon of the airplane, that's it. So take it away, RJ, continue.
851,666 tourists per year. The reclamation will play an important role in the growth of the region and Philippine cities. It's a new dawn for the Philippines. A truly global city. The city of the future. A sustainable city for live, work, learn, and play. Promoting community living for realizing your dreams. A green, inclusive city with open spaces. Putting Philippines at par with Hong Kong, Singapore, and Sydney. With world-class transportation network. And a CBD with fast connectivity to the airport and the metro. The project will be developed with careful consideration of its surrounding natural habitats. The reclamation is designed to international standards to withstand the strongest typhoon waves and surges with an occurrence of once in 1,000 years. Proven soil treatment deployed, considering extreme seismic conditions. Wide canals to accommodate drainage water from the mainland. The project is truly a milestone, a unique model of collaborative development, aiming towards greater competitiveness and providing greater opportunities for the people.
Amazing. Thank you so much, RJ. And with that, we would like to end our webinar. And once again, it's a privilege to have you all here. And we're going to be opening up the floor for further questions for the two gentlemen that we have here. Let's maximize their time here. We have 8 more minutes to go. Any questions, please?
Ask away, guys, because if you don't ask questions, we're not going to get paid.
So
I didn't,
please don't give that hint to Richard. He might charge me.
Dennis, we need to talk because you didn't tell I was going to get paid.
All right. Well, we're just having a great time here. I just want to remind everyone, if there are no questions, please ask the one who invited you over. By the way, I'd like to make just a quick shout out to a good